So, welcome back, and let's talk a little bit more about Ravenbound. Um, in the first video I talked about the Steam reviews, which weren't really positive at all. I think it was sitting at mostly negative for a little while, and that has changed. Reviews are, coming in like how people enjoy the game, and I wanted to share my opinion because there are a few flaws that I see that really bother me and that I would like to talk about. First of all, I know this is early access, so yes, things can go wrong, things can happen, but what's bothering me, for example, is that the UI doesn't really work well, where settings change themselves back and stuff like that, where like you're in some kind of menu and then suddenly it's going over the boundaries of the screen even though you got the right resolution set. Or when I alt tab out of the game, it goes back to window, and you always have to go back to the menu to set it back to full screen. I think the most glaring thing, the thing that annoys me the most is that combat, there's something wrong with the controls, because it feels a little wonky. So let's take a look. This is like the fast attack. And if you got twin axes, it gives you that kind of combo. Then you've got the strong attack, which you can charge, giving you that attack. And you've got the jump attack. Right, and then for parkour, for like traveling around parkouring, you got your oh, that was a nice lag there. You've got the that claw, that hook, right, the grapple hook. So the grapple hook is set to X on my controller, which is the standard setting, and the attacks are on R1 and the right shoulder buttons, and my defensive abilities on the left shoulder buttons. I can slide to dodge attacks, and I can use this shield, and if I use it at the right moment, or if I dodge at the right moment, I get some buffs, or the enemies get staggered. Well, that was pretty nice, but things happen that I don't trigger. So sometimes when I fight groups, suddenly my character uses that grapple hook when I don't even have my finger remotely close to the X button. In fact, my thumb is far away from that button and not even close to the triangle X and so on, because I don't need them in battle. So let's take a little look at the combat and see how that goes. There's like an elite enemy down there. So let's head down there. Oh, there's actually 3 enemies. Cool. So here's the thing. That bothers me a little bit. I think the game is trying to give you like some kind of artificial difficulty by constantly giving you 2 or 3 enemies to fight. As you can see, it's not all that difficult. I mean, I did lose some health there because I hadn't really practiced it. But there's always, like when you go to a camp, it's always 3 enemies. Or here, usually there was this elite guy here, now it's 2 of them, 2 normal enemies. And I find that dull and boring and repetitive sometimes. I mean, it can be fun if you get like little camps with a certain amount of like similar enemies, but it's like very repetitive and dull. And with the camera settings and like the way the graphics are, I find it incredibly hard to see when I've got like I'll show you. Problem is when I focus on a certain enemy to try to get him down, I totally lose track of the other enemies unless I turn my camera around, which then gives me a problem because there are enemies all around me, and I try to position them so I have them all in view, but it happens so often where you fight a certain enemy and then suddenly out of camera another guy jumps at you and stabs you. And I sometimes find it really hard to see what is going on there, and I don't know if it's just me or not. Same with some weird delayed attacks, but let me show you. Here are 3 enemies. Let's fight those guys. There we go. I'm using my shield. There we go. And now one of them is probably going to jump at me. So I'll try to get them all in the camera, in view. And the range is weird. There we go. Once again. And it can be fun, but yeah, I need to learn those attacks, I guess. But I find it really weird because sometimes they run away weirdly and then they go back to a certain position. And it kind of feels like floaty and really tough to keep track of like the different enemies because they suddenly run away, then they're out of sight, and then suddenly they jump into sight, stabbing you, giving you some damage and stuff. And I do admit that I haven't played the game as much and probably still should just go and practice a bit more. But I find it problematic how it's always like, you know, I consider this almost artificial difficulty because it always gives you 3 enemies. One of them at a time is totally easy, but here's always 3, whatever, no matter what camp you go to, unless you go to like those goblin camps and stuff. So I find that pretty weird. And let's see, do I have the funds to heal? I don't, because of course I can only heal with either loot, chest, no, a certain card, or by paying for it. So here's another camp. Let's see how that goes. Just gonna try to show you. There we go. We skip that. You know, and sometimes those enemies will strike and then will kind of like move forward in a weird way where they almost slide to you. And then, you know, they do an attack where they don't do that, where they don't move forward. And so you wasted your shield use. So I staggered him now. Here we go, jump attack. And I find it really tough also to actually hit enemies with that attack, the jump attack with the heavy, because yeah, sometimes it feels kind of, let me see, kind of floating, where you go way too farther than you were planning on. And so this is the thing that's bothering me. What I'm trying to say is that in a game that is kind of difficult when it comes to combat sometimes, you know, especially with the bosses and the elite enemies, I find it pretty bad if the controls aren't as precise as they need to be. I mean, if you do put like more difficult combat into your game, then at least make sure that the controls actually do work. And I don't think they do work really well in this game. So yeah, another chest with hatred. Let's open it. Yay, getting 2 mana. So let's play that now. Let's get a weapon damage up. We still can't heal. Basically what I'm trying to say is I do like the combat mechanics in general, like the way it works. I mean, it's pretty basic. On the right side of your controller you have the light and heavy attack, on the left side you have your shield and the dodge, and all that is fine, but I feel like sometimes the controls are not precise enough, are too wonky, are a little weird. and that really needs to be fixed. And I wish there was more variety than just like 3 enemies, and try to keep them all inside to not get ambushed with a jump attack. It just, I don't know, it just feels weird. So let me see, where do I have, oh yeah, there's my helicopter port up there. Turn into a raven. And let's see if I can get, there's another camp right down there. So let's go there and see if I can recreate that thing where it has me jump when I don't want to, or use my grapple hook when I don't want to. Let's see. Isn't there a camp right there? Oh, there. Okay. 3 enemies. Let's charge in. There we go, got him. See, there were 2 or 3 attacks and I did hit the shield, and to me it absolutely looked like I actually blocked the attack, but it didn't. And so yeah, it's really easy to get overwhelmed, and I don't feel like, ooh, you know, I just do this and that to fix that. It's just, you know, you've got 3 enemies running around. Sometimes they stay back and give you a chance to fight one of them, and sometimes they just charge in, and it's really hard to keep them all in sight. And I wish there was just more than just, okay, the difficulty is mostly that we overwhelm you with 3 enemies. And by the way, as you can see, this is not, this is what I talked about in the beginning, where I talked about like, you know, resolution not working right, or like your menus going over the boundaries of the screen. This is not a problem with OBS, with my OBS setup. This is what I actually see on my screen. You see? On the right side, it's all cut off. So that kind of sucks. So yeah. I know this is early access, and of course, you know, you could always say, well, with early access, you can't really complain about anything, but I was hoping that, you know, if they consider this, if they wanted to make a difficult game where you really have to put in some skill and get good, then at least make that part work before you work on anything else. You know, make the combat work. It's not only about balancing, it's also about like how precise are your control, because I thought that was the basic of the game. Yeah, come on, let's take this one. And I don't feel like they're there yet. I feel this is still, you know, that the basis isn't really working out yet. So one more camp, this time with a shield. And of course, the shield doesn't make any difference, because, you know, I either dodge or I have this radiant shield, which is weird, so I don't even use my shield at all when I fight. But I guess, you know, they had some kind of an idea when they came up with the system. Oops, I kind of lost sight of the camp I was looking for. So let's go back into the air again. Let's head that way. Several different camps. Let's go for this one. Oh no, let's not. I haven't even tried the lava stuff yet, so let's try that. Fighting in there. So here we are. Oh, there you go. You see, I just used my grapple hook. And no, I don't have... I had my thumb real far away from the button that triggers it. That lag there almost messed me up there. There we go. And that, so I had a lag, which kind of messed me up and got me hit. Still had some of those weird attacks, and I used my grapple hook when I didn't really mean to, because I guess I was using telekinesis to trigger it, because I wasn't even close to the button. So yeah, those are my current impressions, and it's kind of, even though I am used to playing early access games, and I know that often there are still bugs in there, that things aren't quite, you know, fully baked yet. This is kind of sucking the fun out of it, because it's repetitive, same old, you know, same camps with 3 enemies, some elite guys, and you know, weird stuff happening during combat. So if the combat was just great and they were, you know, fine-tuning the rest of the world, adding more content and stuff, that would be fine. But I'm really not enjoying the game too much now because of the wonky combat. So yeah, those are my first impressions. Hope I didn't ramble on for too long. Thank you for watching, and yeah, goodbye.